Good morning and welcome to this edition of the Lynne Hayes-Freeland Show. You know, sometimes the best conversations are the ones just before the show, the ones during the commercial break. And I'm not going to tell you what we were talking about. But welcome to this week's show. We're going to talk about an issue in depth that really has been making headlines. And I am hopeful today we're going to go beneath the headlines, under the headlines, and talk about some of the other issues around, some folks call it the opioid crisis, some folks call it the opioid epidemic. You can call it whatever you want, but there's definitely an issue in our community. Here to talk about it, two individuals, first-hand perspective. Danetta Benjamin is the Director of Behavioral Health for Family Links, and Fred Massey is the CEO of Family Links. Do you prefer Fred or Frederick?
Fred.
Okay, I thought so. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having us
So
back.
I feel like, I mean, you guys were here. What was it? Was it Awareness Month or something we were talking about last time?
Yeah, Drug Awareness Month.
Recovery
Month.
Okay, Recovery Month,
Yes.
right. So I feel like the whole opioid story, although it was like major headlines then, I feel like it's gotten even more attention since then.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, it's been in the news. Even the president has declared an opiate epidemic. But I think also what's happening is a lot of the statistics are coming out, especially in Pennsylvania, that we're much higher than national average of the deaths because of opiate addiction.
Pennsylvania has higher numbers than nationally.
Yes.
Yes, it's increasing. And in Allegheny County alone, and in Philadelphia, of course, the numbers are skyrocketing. So you're looking at a 37% increase across Pennsylvania.
So let me just right there, when you say Pittsburgh, Allegheny County, and Philadelphia, and I was under the impression that this was more of a rural issue than urban.
It's still a rural issue. I think with the urban communities, you have more availability to data and statistics. People are really tracking it through the county health systems. And I think with the rural community, we have to do a better job of tracking those consumers or people who are experiencing a substance use dependency.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit. I mean, why now? Why in the last 12 to 15 months has everybody started talking about opioids when up until that time, if you had a drug discussion, you were talking about cocaine, crack, and maybe some weed?
Well, I think it is because of who's affecting now. The big epidemic occurred when, because you know, there's always been cocaine, heroin that's been affecting our communities, but when the large amount of prescription drug medication is being prescribed and affecting a broader community, that's causing the epidemic to rise even more. So once that got noticed, that's where you get a lot more of this attention.
Which in itself is kind, I mean, there are a lot of people in the black community that are feeling some kind of way about that.
Yeah, because it's impacting individuals on a higher socioeconomic status, then I think that you're getting more of attention because this is not your everyday perception of what addiction is or what an addict is experiencing. These are consumers who work every day, who are soccer moms or head of household moms, or fathers that are running companies, or all of a sudden becoming addicted, and specifically addicted to opioids. And you have to look at the history of how pain management has been distributed throughout the last 20 years.
Okay, and I'm going to get you to follow up on that, but it just dawns on me, we keep using the term opioid. And I think that a lot of our viewers at home want to know exactly what are we talking about when we say opioids.
I'm sure most viewers at home would like to hear the word heroin, but opioids, we're talking about solely the drug that is an opioid that feeds on the receptors of the brain. And so you have full opioids and you have a partial opioid. So the heroin, the fentanyl, all the street drugs, even the pharmaceutical drugs are full opioids. The Suboxone, the medication assistant treatment therapy drugs are partials.
And so the key to that is that hits on that receptor in the brain.
Correct. Correct. So with the partial, it actually hits on the receptor, the opioid receptor of the brain, but it also reduces the cravings and withdrawal symptoms. So that's why medication assistant therapy is successful.
I see. And so, Fred, when you're out talking in the community, what kinds of things do people ask you?
Well, they're also asking about treatment. You know, is there access for treatment? How do we go about it? Especially if they have a loved one. Most people have someone that's in their family that is dealing with this particular issue, and they struggle with the fact that how that's the effect upon themselves and even their children, how it's being affected. So they're looking for help about how to get and deal with the addiction.
And I did a story a couple weeks ago. We were out in Glassport. It was a Sunday night, and they had a candlelight vigil for family members who had lost a loved one to opioid. And without a doubt, every family member I spoke to that night said there's still such a stigma attached, that what they appreciated about that night was the fact that there were other people there who didn't judge them.
Correct.
Well, I think that goes back to the fact that, you know, you're dealing with the epidemic, but unfortunately we're looking on the back end of this instead of looking at how do you prevent it in the first place. And we were talking earlier about the fact that many of the people, especially in the African American community, is not open to counseling and things like that, because keep in mind, this drug is to suppress pain. And many of us, whether it be physical or emotional, and if we don't deal with that root cause of why we need that suppression of pain, then it opens us up to this addiction.
Wow. Okay, we have a lot more to talk about. The good news is we got time to talk about it. We're going to take a commercial break on the Lynne Hayes-Freeland Show. Don't go away. We're also going to give you a phone number if, in fact, you find that you need some assistance with some of the very information we're talking about. So don't go away. We'll be right back.